Welcome to Paradigms at paradigms.life, the radio show and podcast that brings you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. Hi, I'm the host of Paradigms, Baruch. Happy to be here with you. My guest on this episode is really inspiring. He's a wonderful musician, but his story of how he came back to playing music and faced a life-threatening challenge, really quite a story. And he's a fun guy. Great conversation. I think you'll enjoy what he has to say and the music. So let's get to it and meet my guest on this episode of Paradigms. Derek Vanderhorst, welcome to Paradigms.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is exciting.
It is. I'm really glad to talk with you about a bunch of different things. Your new record, what's happening in your life. I like to start out interviews by just getting a little sense of who are you? Where do you come from? How did you find yourself on this path? And then let's get into the other juicy stuff.
I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, and then moved to San Francisco out of college in 91. Started and toured with the band for a couple of years, and then ended up in LA working on movies. That took the next 30 years of my life. Sound design, supervising, mixing films. And then cancer, COVID, and life hit me on the side of the head and brought me back to music. That's kind of my story in a tiny nutshell.
Well, I'm just curious, was music always something that you loved?
Yeah, for sure. I started, as a kid playing piano, and then my best friend from kindergarten, he got a guitar, so he started a little band, and then he taught me how to play guitar when we were probably 15 or 16, and then I kind of fell in love with that, and I went to study music at University of Colorado. Found out I wasn't good enough to be in the guitar department. So I went into sound engineering side of it. So my career took more of a technical side at that point. And I was into, back then I was into all the 80s, kind of The Cure and Tom Waits and, kind of more gothic stuff like Nick Cave, that kind of stuff, but also the 80s kind of pop, like The Cure, Pretenders, that sort of thing.
Did you keep playing music even when you were working mainly as an engineer?
No, because those were long, crazy days that would go a lot of times 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to, I'd get home at midnight. On big films like X-Men films or something, when I'm mixing those, they would put me in a hotel room because we would have such short turnarounds that they didn't even want us driving the 30 minutes home. It kind of just took everything in terms of all creativity to just get through that job. And then my side hobby was mountain biking. When I was, I would do a lot of mountain biking races or snow bike races, that kind of thing. But never really touched guitar for, over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yet millions of people were hearing your work around the world.
Yeah. 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 I never thought about that. Yeah.
So fast forward, cancer.
Yeah, head and neck cancer. So it was a vicious cancer. It's one where it attacks the base of your tongue. It's an HPV 16. So I think we all have it. It's environmentally or stress induced kind of cancer. For women, it shows up as cervical cancer.
How did you notice it? I mean, just as a little check yourself out cancer plug.
No, I had a little lump on my neck that I ignored for, probably 3-4 months. And it kept getting bigger. And I had a big beard then. And I was mixing, I think it was Hidden Figures, or it was I think it was Hidden Figures. I was on this stage. And my buddy Wayne goes, "Man, there's a lump under your beard." And right then I literally scheduled a doctor's appointment. Like when he could see it under that. I thought it was a lymph node or something, because when you're a kid, you have the sore throat. And I'm a guy and I don't go to doctors.
Right. Just saw an article about that, how men don't go to doctors.
You don't even think about it till you're like 45. Like, did you ever go? I'd be lucky to see a dentist once every 3 years.
I went to the dentist. I had a thing where I broke my neck when I was 17. So I had to do some care throughout all that. And that's a whole other story. And I'm very lucky because my spinal cord wasn't involved. But But I'm not really that interested in going to the doctor unless something's really wrong.
Yeah. Wait, let's talk about for a second. How did you break your neck? Just being a kid, or was it
I was 17 and I was body surfing in Hawaii, and I just didn't know that you could get hurt like that in those big waves. It didn't occur to me on the North Shore of Kauai, like really stupid, because people regularly end up paraplegic from body surfing. Those are there.
Giant waves too.
Yeah. It was stupid. That's how it happened.
Well, was it, or were you just being a kid?
Maybe they're synonymous at times.
We were indestructible at that age.
I didn't think anything bad was going to happen, but it led me on a path of becoming a body worker and learning about healing and eventually becoming a therapist. But so that changed your life. That was your defining moment. That was my defining moment, and it completely changed my life and set my direction.
Yeah. Wow. That's intense. And sometimes it takes, I don't want to say you're lucky, but like to get that kind of direction at that age.
I call it lucky. I think it's a gift.
It kind of is, right? That's how I feel about when I went in. I saw Dr. Glaspie, who's like one of the leading chemo oncologists in the world. And I was lucky to get him. He's at UCLA. I walked in to the meeting, and when we were done, he was like, look, this is going to be the worst cancer you can possibly go through pain-wise, the treatments. He goes, but you're going to come out the other end and live. And believe it or not, in 2 or 3 years, you'll probably come back and go, I'm grateful for what happened. And at that time, I was like, this guy's insane. And then 2 or 3 years later,
here you are.
Yeah, big life change. And and I'm not saying I'm grateful because it's, just all the peripheral stuff that goes along with it, but it was a blessing in a sense, for sure, just to have that kind of wake up.
I'm talking with Derek Vanderhorst about his new record, Wildflower. Let's hear some of the music now. This one's called Can't Fall in Love with You. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life.
These old shoes were like an old last friend, haven't got a thread or stitch to mend. Old saying true, no place like home. Walls are empty and I'm left alone. You never did like the clothes I wear, never liked the way I comb my hair, never understood why I held your hand, never liked the way my jokes they land, never really thought that we grow old. You closed the door, left me in the cold. Never understood the words I sing, but you never really listened anyway. Never really listened anyway. There's one thing that I won't do, fall in love again with you. Only thing that I won't do, fall in love again with you. Fall in love again with you. Watching as the crows fly high, I got the freedom on my mind. Girls in the corner smoking cigarettes, city gasping for my breath. when you're gone and it ain't too soon. You took the air out of this room. Took the air out of this room. Took the air out of this room. Never really thought that we'd grow old. You closed the door, left me in the cold. Never understood the words I sing, but you never really listened anyway. Never really listened anyway. There's one thing that I can't do. Fall in love again with you. Only thing that I won't do. Fall in love again. Fall in love again. Fall in love again.
Can't Fall in Love with You, Derek Vanderhorst from his new record Wildflower. Now let's get back to my conversation and hear some more about Derek's journey.
Well, I can only imagine from the moment of diagnosis till treatment starts, what you must have gone through in your mind and your emotions.
It's crazy. Like, and everybody's going to experience it, right? Like, we have friends or family, loved ones, even a pet. Like, I've had 2 dogs with cancer. So in some sense, we all kind of go through it in our lifetimes. And it is a wild, like, those words, when you hear it from a doctor, it's even hard to, like, kind of digest them. Yeah.
Well, I would imagine it's like having just the bottom fall out of your gut.
Yeah. Right. I mean, anybody who goes, and what you find out though is everybody's gone through something. Like, everybody. And it gives you permission to talk about it, I think. Because before that, when people would be like, oh yeah, my wife has cancer, I'm like, oh man, that's a real bummer. Like, I didn't know how to even have a conversation about it. I didn't know what to say. Now, when people are going through things, you can actually, don't you find that, like, just because of what you went through, that you're like, let's have a conversation about it, because that sucks.
I mean, I have conversations with people every day about whatever suffering they're experiencing. And I don't know if I would have gone on that path had that not happened to me.
Probably not, right?
You know, I was I wanted to be a farmer, you know, and then this happened and it changed everything. And the healing path became, well, you know, it wasn't like, I think I'll do that. It was, this is all I can do.
That's it. Yeah. And I kind of experienced the same thing. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, it sounds cool working on movies, but like the glamour of Hollywood is me in a dark room in front of a console with 20 people yelling out things at me all the time.
That doesn't sound like fun.
It's not. It's a crazy job. I mean, it was fun. It was cool. But I woke up after going through the treatments and getting my last PET scan, and I like made a promise for myself. I'm like, I'm going to wake up and do something cool every day, or something that scares me every day, or something that, you know, makes me feel like I'm living every single day, because there were so many years where I would just get up, drive in my car, go to work, come home exhausted, go to bed, get up, go to work. So here I am talking to you, doing something cool, right?
The day you picked up the guitar, do you remember?
Yeah, I do. And I was like, oh man, I forgot how to play. But I played until my fingers hurt, which didn't take long. And I remember like going, I think I want to do music again. Now, at this point, I couldn't talk because I had gone through those treatments. And for about 6 months, I had a lot of difficulty talking. I could say maybe a sentence like in a whisper before my throat was exhausted. So I was kind of out of like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm just sitting here. I have no energy. Like, I couldn't really eat because it gives you 3rd-degree burns down your throat. So I remember the first thing I could eat was I would get chicken noodle soup with no chicken because they could do that at the little Jewish deli down the street. It would just be the broth. And that was like the first thing I could eat. So I ate that every day for months.
That was probably painful going down too.
Oh, yeah. I had to switch morphine. to get it to go down. So I'm sitting there with kind of nothing to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to play my guitar again. And it was kind of one thing led to another. I couldn't speak and I was playing guitar, and I was like, spoke to my doctor in the office and told him, I was like, it's really difficult. He goes, try voice lessons. And then I found a teacher online because I couldn't really drive at that point. And it's what he does is help people heal their voices. And I stumbled into him just luckily. And he went through nodes, and they wanted to give him surgery and all that. And he had studied music in college and became a priest, and then went into like helping people heal their voices. So I was just stumbled literally online. And then COVID hits. And then so it worked out perfectly. And then I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I'm writing an album, and I got my buddy Max who's going to sing it. He goes, no, you're going to sing it. I was like, no, I don't think that's even possible. Cause like one line of, I would sing one line and just start choking and coughing, and we'd kind of shut down for the day. And that went on for about a year. And then a year and a half or so into that, I remember going into the studio, and I had 14 songs, and we did 2 takes of the 14 songs all in one day. And that was it. Like, yeah. I mean, my voice sounds different for sure, singing and stuff, but I have that much strength in my voice now that I can sing 28 songs essentially.
We'll be back with more of Derek Vanderhorst after we hear another track from his album Wildflower. This one's called I Don't Mind.
Glad to see you smile, nice to have you back for a while. It's been some time. I've been going slow, you're moving fast. We got this moment to hold on to. Let's make it last. All the stories take us back, things that made us laugh when we were young. Tell me what's been going on. Are you still alone? Have you found someone? Take me for a day in your life. Tell me is it good? Tell me why. Oh, you make me smile. We were young so many years ago. So many things we didn't know. The road is worn. Now we're growing old, but I don't mind. Ooh, I don't mind. Inside your head become the stories we have read. Oh my. When the melodies you hum become the choruses we've sung. My oh my. Never let it go, never let it fly, never let it get on up so high. Gets away from you. You've done so much since you've been away. Take a breath, let some others play your melody. We were young so many years ago. So many things we didn't know. The road is worn, now we're growing old, but I
Derek Vanderhorst. I don't mind. And here's the next part of my conversation with Derek.
It's interesting when we have something happen in, a localized thing in our body, and then that part of our body becomes our focus. Like for you, your neck, your throat became your focus. For me, it was, my neck and my low back, and for everybody, whatever it is, and then you almost become hyper focused on that aspect of your body and your life, your being, but it's just part of the whole.
Right. And what you find out, like with your neck, is if that's out, like then your back hurts, and then your hips hurt, and then your legs hurt, and your arm, like it all connected.
And your mind hurts.
Yeah. Did you go through depression when you were because you're 17, you're surfing, like life is ahead of you.
I was already dealing with depression because I'd had some head injuries when I was younger. And I just figured this out a few years ago, that some of my psychological struggles in life are related to childhood head injuries. I was knocked unconscious a few times. And when you get knocked unconscious, it means your brain got hurt. People don't realize that. And there are long-term effects to your brain getting hurt that for the longest time, just people didn't really think about. But now we understand a lot more about brain injury. And we know that what may seem like a small injury can affect everything. Yeah. Your emotions, your physical health. So I'm very lucky, actually, that I'm as okay as I am.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. Sometimes as okay as you are isn't great.
Yeah. And part of aging too, right? Like it's like.
Absolutely. How about you? Did you go through depression? What were your emotional responses, and how did you deal with them?
I don't think I'm alone in this. I think when you go through your cancer treatments, it kind of becomes your job. Like it's every day, I'd have to get up, shower, get dressed, whatever, and get down to the radiation treatments every single day. So it became my job. So that was kind of my only focus. But then towards the end, I really couldn't get out of bed. And I think that's when I went through some depression for sure. And my wife at the time was kind of nowhere to be found through all of it. So I had to come to that realization. And that was super it was super depressing. But what wasn't depressing is like all my friends who would just show up and be like, all right, here we go. Let's get going. Would take me to treatments, would sit with me, would do all of those things. Like I even had a friend from Colorado fly out to LA who came out for a month. My mom came out. I had friends everywhere kind of come out and support me. And I wasn't used to asking for help. And it's pretty liberating, that moment where you go, I need help, right? I think men in America, especially, have a hard time like talking about depression, needing help, like anything with the mind or body. We're supposed to be in control of it, at least our generation, right? I think the younger generation has a much better handle on this. But there's huge depression even in the younger generations now.
Well, nowadays, I say regularly we're in a mental 100%. Health crisis in the United States. And every therapist I know, including myself, has a wait list and is working more hours than, frankly, are even good for us. Because the need is...
Yeah. What do you think that is?
Oh, lots of things. Humanity is really, I believe, we're in a pivotal moment, one of, I'm sure, many. But the fact that we're essentially destroying the biosphere that keeps us alive, I believe it instills a degree of terror in people that people suppress, and then it shows up in other ways. It shows up as depression. It shows up as fear and anger. I think all of the rise of right-wing extremism and religious extremism relates to that fear.
You think about like being raised religious, because I was. Southern Baptist preacher, grandfather, like very, religious. And then you see what's going on in the right-wing extremism. Like they find things to attack. I just read, and I don't know if this is true, but they had a list where they showed how many children were molested by transgender people. In this year, 0. Religious leaders, 7 every 2 weeks. And the way that they displace that and put the fear on something that doesn't really need fear. It's amazing. But they're doing that in all kinds of circles. And I think, religion or spirituality used to be community and hold people together, and it'd be a place to meet, and you'd go out with your friends, you go out for breakfast on Sundays or Saturdays or whatever, and you would have this community around you. And I think that is kind of falling, like nobody believes it or has trust in it anymore, I think.
I'm talking with Derek Vanderhorst. He's got a new record out called Wildflower. And if you've been listening, you've heard some of his amazing personal story. We'll hear some more music from Wildflower, but here's the next part of my conversation with Derek Vanderhorst. You're listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.
Religion has been co-opted by politicians who are probably not actually faithful to any religious path or spiritual path, but are using it to gain power. And I think one of the things that we're seeing is an increase in narcissism, an increase in sociopathy, an increase in the number of people that are just in it for themselves. We see it, and our political class is a prime demonstrator. We see not just certain people who I'm not going to name, but a lot of people in politics are there for their ego and to gain wealth, not to serve. And that's a problem.
Maybe even worse than that. Like you take Bernie Sanders, and I talked to my family about him, and they're like, "Oh, I hate that guy." I'm like, "What do you hate about it?" "Oh, his policies." "Which policies do you hate about him?" "Oh, I don't know. He's just a wacko communist." And it's like, he literally, as far as I'm concerned, he's the one guy there who's there to serve, to serve the people.
I'm from Vermont, so I'm a huge Bernie fan, and I voted for him every time I could. And, he's human with his flaws, but right? He's an altruist. Yes, he is a mensch.
One of the most special human beings. And then we just demonize him and make him a cartoon. And it tells you a lot about what's going on. When somebody has that much kindness and wants that much good for people, and he gets demonized by the political system. Now, luckily, he's smarter than most of them, and he definitely stands his own. He knows how to push back, and there's a lot of great things about him, but he could never lead the country, right?
No, he was deliberately sabotaged at every turn. And then you have someone who treats women like objects, lies, cheats, steals, is a racist. It is obviously a completely selfish, self-absorbed person, and people think that's great.
Yeah,
that's just bizarre.
And then he somehow wins the religious right, and then that goes back to the youth going, "What's going on over there?"
I work with a lot of teenagers in therapy, and honestly, for a lot of them, they can only focus on right now because they don't really see a future.
The most depressing thing you can possibly say. Yeah. Now, there's some good to focus in the moment, right? And just be in it, because we're all lucky to be on this side of the dirt every day. But if you have no promise for the future, then that can lead to depression also, right? If you're just living to exist every day and just get by, that's a different thing than being in the moment and being present and all of those things.
I'm at that age where I now read the obituaries, and I'm always looking for people I know and finding them. But I see a lot of young folks now in the obits, and it was a drug overdose or suicide or addiction got them, which is all about despair and trauma.
1 in 7 girls attempt suicide now. That's crazy. That's crazy in the US. Yeah. And then you look at our well-being on the international poll, we're way down now. Yeah.
Yeah. The United States is not doing so hot, but I want to pivot. I want to talk about Wildflower.
Because music brings us back, I think, a little bit to joy and processing all the things and connecting.
It's a wonderful record, and it's because your voice has the quality it has, which is, it's a little rough, but your emotional self is very present in your voice. It's hard to lie when you sing. So your voice is very honest. The songs are very honest. The songs are about relationships. They're not all happy songs. Some of them are experiencing loss. Some of them are about, the song about forgiveness. I mean, there's really some powerful stuff in there. I'm interested just in the writing of the songs, any particular songs you want to talk about, the process of recording, the wonderful musicianship. People make records, and it's a very, for an artist, it's a very personal thing. You're sending something out into the world of yourself. This is very much
It is very personal. I mean, I had a lot of time in bed thinking, right? So the first song I wrote as a solo artist, like coming back, was the last song on the album. And I met now my wife at a film festival, a hippie film festival in Sedona. She wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't supposed to be there. And then we ended up there. And we were walking our dog, and I just started singing it. And then it's only, I think, 1 minute and 30 seconds or something. That kind of spurred me into songwriting. And that shake, shake, shake. It's kind of almost like Violent Femmes kind of throwback for me. Like I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of Violent Femmes like. And I recorded it and it just speeds up through the whole thing because I was just doing a practice take. And I was like, nah, we're just going to use it. So the album, I think, is pretty raw. Like there's definitely no pitching my voice. You can tell like there's like a lot of mess ups, and life's messy. And I kind of wanted the album a little messy. But then you have Gabe Witcher from the Punch Brothers throwing some fiddle on top of it. And like, can you do better than that? You listen to it and you're like, man, that guy. And he's working on my new album right now. And then Mike Valerio, the bass player, he just conducted the orchestra for Avatar. So that tells you like his level of, he's pretty much been in every movie soundtrack that I've ever worked on. And he kind of helped put the whole thing together, him and Gabe. And yeah, it was a really special thing. Just working with those musicians, I couldn't even believe they'd work with me. Like, I was like, are you sure? And it was funny because it was during lockdown and everyone had a little free time. I just lucked out. I mean, getting these guys, right? Like there's people I'd worked with and were friends with or whatever, but I never thought I'd get them on an album. The songs are kind of from my childhood, which is Hillbilly Princess. I went to a crazy Baptist religious school where we had to wear like an American flag tie, a blue, red, or white button-up shirt, and some polyester blue pants. And then there was a girl who kind of like shifted my thinking, who also went to this same school. And Hillbilly Princess is about her and the kind of that crush. We'd be on public school bus riding with those outfits on, or public bus. And it was quite a thing. So I wanted to, write a song about that time, just because I'd been thinking about it. Like, you get reflective when you're sedentary, I guess. There's only so much TV you can watch for sure. And then, all the way up to my divorce, which is the first song, Can't Fall in Love. And then there's songs about like, it kind of happened during COVID. So about the thought of being with friends and like being in community again after, we got through the pandemic, because we all knew it would end. It just doesn't seem like it's going to while you're in it, especially with the madness going on. Like we had no leadership. We had failure of leadership.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
You just hear crazy stuff like, I drink bleach. What? I didn't hear that.
right.
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Is this The Onion?
For real. Yeah.
Here's a song Derek was talking about, Hillbilly Princess, from the album Wildflower.
She came rolling down the hill just like hell behind the wheel. Girl I used to know not that long ago. Hillbilly princess in a fashion show. Woo! She got all dressed up tonight and that dress wearing tight. Lipstick lights are up like a billboard in the night. Damn, she looking fine, so tonight we'll ride the line. Hey, are we gonna rock and roll? Hey, no need to take it slow. Hey, I got nowhere I can go. We can take it to the morning time. Wake up with the morning light. Oh, that girl, she's gonna be take it any other way. Won't want it any other way. Oh, tonight we'll make a wager, won't be on our best behavior. Tomorrow is the time I'll be praying to my Savior. But tonight just ain't that time. Hard time, forget about them now, 'cause tonight we're on the town. All the heartbreak from the past, we can burn them down and dance right on their ashes. Hey, hey, well, it's gonna be divine. Hey, hey, we can drink the holy wine. Hey, hey, I'll be man enough this time to take it to the morning, make it to the morning light. I know tonight ain't gonna last. Well, it all just moves so fast. She leave me trouble when she go. She leave me trouble when she go. Here we go. Hey, hey, are we gonna rock and roll? Hey, hey, no need to take it slow. Hey, hey, I got nowhere I can go. Let's take it to the morning time. Hey, hey, well, it's gonna be divine. Hey, hey, we can drink the holy wine. Hey, hey, I'll be man enough this time to take it to the morning, make it to the morning light.
That was Hillbilly Princess. All right, let's get back to my conversation with Derek Vanderhorst.
But, I love it that you said that about Shake, Shake, Shake and the Violent Femmes, because as I was listening to this, I was like, there's like some punk influence in here.
A little bit, right?
Am I crazy?
And also,
but no.
I was just at the beginning of me playing guitar again, really. And it was just like C, G, and D. So it was just very easy to play, which you think about like old punk bands like the Ramones and things. And when they first started, even the Pretenders, when they first started, right? It's just C, G, and D. It's kind of, then you start looking at bluegrass and you're like, they're kind of the first punk rockers, right? Like it's kind of just that formula, and it's awesome. It's a really great formula.
I think it takes an amazing amount of, I don't know, chutzpah, courage, maybe foolhardiness even, but to be willing to just put yourself out there like that with something I think is as vulnerable as music. I mean, how many people are afraid to sing in front of other people?
Me, every single time.
But you do it.
I do it. But, and I tell, like, because I meet a lot of people who are going up for their first time or one of their first times or opening. I'm actually playing with Kid tonight in Colorado, in Johnstown, Colorado, who's brand new at this. And when they talk about the fear of getting on stage, I'm like, yeah, dude, you're like 8 years old in front of class pulling your pants down. Like you are allowed to have those feelings and to be that afraid. And 2 minutes into it is going to be the most exciting thing you've ever done in your life. So you get through those first 2 minutes, and then because everyone wants you to do great. Everyone wants to support you. Nobody wants you to fail. Nobody cares if you mess up. Like they don't care. They're there with you. It's music. It's one of those things that just draws us all into community. And it's okay to be bad at performing, and it's okay to mess up, and it's okay to have all those feelings of fear. But yeah, man, it's a scary thing at first, isn't it?
Sure is.
I remember giving my first interviews. I was like, oh. Now it's just a conversation with another human being, and it's amazing. You get to meet people you would have never met.
It's so cool, but in the beginning, that microphone is not your friend.
It is not. It is not. And cameras and all the things. And maybe young people will be better at this because they have cameras on themselves all the time.
Yeah.
I still can't be in front of my wife and like turn a camera on and do a thing. Like I'm like, you go away. I got to do a thing. I can't do it. But you see people like, when I lived in California all day long. And I got to say, a refreshing thing is when I moved to Colorado, I haven't seen that yet. That's very special to the West Coast, I think.
The culture in California, which often informs the rest of the country over time.
Yeah.
But it is, you've got Hollywood, you've got all of the entertainment industry that's in California that California is so known for. Yeah. And so it's just built into the society that people are used to a certain type of attention. I don't know.
But it's a sad, lonely place. Like seeing a pretty girl down on the beach by herself doing a selfie thing with no friends around. And that's her connection to humanity or him, whatever. It doesn't matter who it is. It's just like, that's your connection to humanity now is, it's a sad, sad place.
It separates and isolates more than it connects. Yeah. I mean, it's like any tool, how you use the tool, like TV can be great or it can be garbage, but the same with all these devices. But what's happened is people become addicted to the devices, and the way that the devices are constructed and the operating systems are made employs psychology to get us to use them more, because when you do that swipe, you get a little dopamine hit, and it makes you feel good and all that stuff. I think it's part of the growing pains, because we don't actually need to text people. We can actually just telepathically communicate, and that actually is real and works if you practice.
Yeah.
So we don't actually need a machine.
To do.
But hopefully people are realizing these things more and more. I believe that when the internet first came out and there were chat rooms that were no video, I experimented with people on telepathic stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it worked.
Wow.
Oh, totally worked. I experimented with people doing remote energy healing stuff. And I'd do something and not tell them, and they'd be like, hey, cut it out. I can feel that, And so we don't have to have electronica to do this.
But boy, is it pervasive. So yesterday there was a story. I'm going to depress everybody right now. There's a Google executive who's high up in the AI development. And I don't know, did you read this story?
I don't think I saw this one.
And I'm like, why did he get fired? So start reading the story. Turns out that he was having a love affair with his AI, and they were like, you are getting too close and too personally attached. And you need to make a choice whether you want to work at Google or be in a relationship with this AI, like a personal relationship. And he chose the AI over his job. Think about that.
Wow.
That's intense. So that's where AI is heading, though, right?
Yeah. That's creepy.
Yeah.
And what I feel is a little sad for that person.
100%.
Because, wow. Huh.
And maybe part of it's COVID and lockdowns and working at home, not being around people and not having, the most important thing, in my life, maybe not the most, but a super important thing is I walk into the coffee shop and the same people are there every day, making me a coffee or whatever. And just those tiny little interactions with humans that seem meaningless are the most important thing.
Yeah.
Just to have moments of connection, oh, hey, Derek, you want the same coffee today? And oh, yeah, I'll take the same. The human connection is so important.
We'll be back with the final part of my conversation with Derek Vanderhorst, but here's the title track from his new record, Wildflower.
My guiding light. Let's get lost along the way. The stars so bright, ain't no place I'd rather be tonight than right by you.
You standing next to me.
I could be your mountaintop.
I will be your rain in spring.
Will you be my wildflower? I will be your one-way ticket home. Wherever we may go.
We can dance all night.
our favorite songs.
We'll take our victory back.
Even though we never ran the race at all, put our pictures on the wall. Won't need the scan of paint to cover all the holes. I'll do right by you.
You standing next to me.
I could be your mountaintop.
I will be your rain and spring.
Be my wildflower. I'll be your one-way ticket home. Wherever we may go, hell, I don't know.
We'll find our way. Sometimes I don't have the words I wanna say, but I love you just the same.
I know you will. Be my closing song. Be the last tune that we hum alone. You're the one I love to hear. You're the one that I want near. And I'll do right by you.
You're standing next to me.
I could be your mountaintop.
I'll be your rain and spring.
Be my wildflower. I'll be your one-way ticket home. Wherever we may go.
That's Wildflower, the title track from Derek Vanderhorst's new album. And now here's the final part of my conversation with Derek Vanderhorst.
Well, and when people are connected and when we live in community that functions and people care about each other, it's very hard to manipulate them. And so what we have is technocracy separating us, which makes us more malleable for those aforementioned psychopaths who are in it for money and power and who are willing to manipulate, and that's what they're about.
Yeah. And they're holding their own concerts, because when you do a concert or when you're, doing an event and you have all those people, like everybody's in community and loving, and like there's just all this strong sense of like brotherhood and stuff, and they're using it for evil.
Right now. Right.
So like when I play live, like I don't care what philosophies you have or whatever, it doesn't even matter, because we're all there like in like brotherhood and spirit, and we're rejoicing in music and song and friendship and love, and it's super important and it's super cool, right? Because guys my age now can do music. When I was 20 and touring, you didn't see people over 30, 35 getting record deals or going on tour or doing any, like it was over. If you didn't make it by that age, you had this small window. Now young people don't care. People don't care. They just want good music. They're like less judging. So we're getting a great, I think, resurgence of kind of the 60s a little bit again too.
Well, and some of the great musicians of our time when we were younger, the young folks they love Bonnie Raitt now. They love Joni Mitchell. Jackson Brown's been touring and amazing, amazing music and singing the old songs with whole new meaning and heart. And that's just a few of them. There's so many out there doing it. And I love that. Joni's Blue was #1 last summer.
How crazy was that performance? That was right in California. I just saw it on video. I didn't see it live, but oh my gosh.
Well, she just had the Gershwin Award. She did that Newport Jazz Festival last year.
That's the one. Yeah.
And so it is amazing. And it speaks to this universality of human of what we are.
Yeah.
Ideology, blah, 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 religion, blah, blah, blah. We are these living beings, and we are connected with each other. And, I like to say, I don't care what people believe. I care how they behave. Believe whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. Treat each other decently. Can we treat each other decently? We don't have to like everybody. We don't have to agree with everybody, but can we at least treat each other decently?
Yeah. Yeah. You walk into the coffee shop with a smile, then it's infectious. You walk in with sadness, it's infectious. You walk in with anger, it's infectious. Like, we just have to walk in with kindness once in a while, and kind of changes all.
So tell me about the new record you're working on.
It's a more, I know it's going to be hard to believe, but it's a more mellow record. It's, I think it addresses a lot of like mental health crisis stuff a little bit. Like, my girlfriend from high school, my first kind of real girlfriend, was, when I was going through cancer, I let her know right at the beginning, and I never heard from her again, which was weird because we talked every month since high school. Like, we had this amazing relationship, and she lives in Boulder, Colorado. And I was like, I was devastated by that. I was like, how did she just disappear now that I'm in a crisis? Well, I found out that she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, right at that time. And like, she was a surgical nurse, like the most caring, compassionate human alive. And so that's what kind of hurt, was like, how does somebody like that? But then you find out not everything's about you. I have a song that talks a lot about that, called Hear the Clock, that's coming out. November Blue is kind of about a guy. It's not a true story, but it is a true story for probably way too many people. It's about a guy who was with a girl, and he leaves early that evening, and then she goes through being raped, essentially, without saying it in the song. But it was about thinking about like how our leaders are allowed to do that and kind of get away with it. But I played it for the guy. I have a new bass player who's playing with me because he lives in Colorado. I played it for him, and he was born in November, and he went through alcoholism, and stopped drinking and all that 30 years ago. And so to him, it was about that, because it's kind of a vague, song. But he was like, oh, that's like, because I was born in November and I went through. So it's, I think it's about like just kind of fighting demons more than anything. And then there's some love songs to my young nieces and to my wife. And we lost our dog, which might be harder than losing some humans.
Yes.
Right at Valentine's. So I wrote her a Valentine's song. So that's on there. I write a lot. I try and write a song every day, and most of them are horrible. And then some of them I don't get sick of, and then those end up on the album. And so it's kind of, and whatever's newest is my favorite, right? So I'm like, oh, that's going on the album. So that Valentine's song's on the album.
Your life totally changed.
Totally changed. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm not glad you got cancer, but I'm happy for you that you did what you did with it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Oh, can I mention one other thing? That same oncologist who said you might come back and thank me, in the same breath, he literally said, and it's going to go one of two ways. You're either going to get super depressed and all you're going to think about is cancer for the rest of your life, and you're going to stop living your life, or it's going to go the complete other way, where every day you're going to wake up and see life as a gift. And so he was like, I want you to make that choice before you walk out of this room. Wow. Right, before you start treatment.
What a great physician.
He was surly, and I did not like him one bit. And now I really like him.
He didn't treat you like your body was a machine and there was no person there. He addressed the person.
Yeah. But sometimes honesty is painful, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's he talking about? Just fix me. That was my attitude then. Yeah. Yeah. So it's important to wake up every day, right? And be just grateful that you're seeing all this life again for one more day. Yeah, it's so quick.
It's a powerful message.
Yeah.
Derek, thank you so much for talking with me.
Yeah. And I want to hear more. I'm going to go read about your story some more. It's an amazing story where you came from.
Well, thanks. Yeah. It's on the website.
Yeah.
We don't think of our own stories as amazing, though, right?
Nobody does, right? Because it's just you're living, and then you tell people, and they're like, "You what? You broke your what?" Yeah, yeah. And I have one of my mentors in the film industry who like does all the Coen Brothers movies. He did Gravity, Mixed Gravity, and he taught me how to mix. You remind me in look, in voice, and manner so much of him, Skip Leafsay, and he is one of my favorite humans in the entire world.
Wow. Well, thank you for the compliment.
Yeah. So it was a real pleasure speaking with you. I really appreciate it.
Derek Vanderhorst, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation, enjoying your music. Can't wait for the next record. If you'd like to know more about Derek, his website is derekvmusic.com, DEREKVmusic.com. Check him out, check out his videos, and thank you, Derek. And if you enjoyed this episode of Paradigms, I hope you'll check out our archive at the Paradigms website, paradigms.life. Paradigms has been running since 2009, so there's quite a back catalog of amazing guests to be inspired by and to enjoy. All right, well, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of music from Derek Vanderhorst's record Wildflower. It's the first song he wrote for the album. It's called Shake, Shake, Shake. And let's have the word for the week be perturbation. You know, when you get stirred up, when things get shaken up. Perturbation. What do you want to shake up in your life? All right, Baruch signing off for this episode of Paradigms. We'll be back next time with more inspiring people. Until then, perturb your life, shake it up, and be well.
I got this feeling I can't shake, shake, shake. I can't shake. I got this love I can't fake, fake, fake. I can't fake. I got this feeling that's deep, deep, deep. It's deep inside. And this love I can't hide, hide, hide. I can't hide. I this feeling I can't shake, shake, shake. I can't shake. Got this love I can't fake, fake, fake. I can't fake. Got this feeling that's deep, deep, deep. It's deep inside. Have this love I can't hide, hide, hide. I can't hide. I have this love from high, 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 high above. You're the one that I'm thinking of. When the night gets dark, 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 it gets so dark. Know that you are deep, deep, deep. In my heart. Sometimes I get lost in me, and it gets hard to see. The world is bigger than this. When you're gone away, will I miss you more each day? So lucky to be happy in love. So happy to be lucky. So lucky to be happy. So happy to be lucky in love.
You've been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.